What are they doing to this poor rat? That is perverted. What are they filling him with? He's getting too big. Oh my god, stop touching him. This is pervert behavior. Stop it.
Hey guys, here, and finally I get to play an actually good plane. This is the Mystere IIA at 8.0, and even though I don't really like playing the 8.0 to 9.0 BR range very much, I had a quite good time flying this thing. As a quick summary of the Mystere line in the French tree, the Ouragan and the Baragan are quite fun, good dogfighters, but they compress at high speeds and have mediocre acceleration, typical for early jets. The Mystere IIA compresses much less and accelerates much better, so it feels a lot nicer to fly. The Mystere IIC is a heavier 2A with more thrust and two 30mm instead of four 20mm, making it turn and retain energy worse, but also gives it a better top speed. Still workable, but I'd rather just play the 2A. Then you get the Mystere 4A and the Super Mystere, which double down on adding weight for thrust, giving them a higher top speed and a terrible energy retention that makes them incredibly painful to fly. Of these, I definitely like the Mystere 2A the best for its BR. It feels like a halfway point between the two extremes of the Sabre and the MiG-15 in terms of speed, climb, turn, and roll. In fact, it feels like a very middle-of-the-road, jack-of-all-trades kind of plane overall. Decent turn, decent roll, decent energy retention, decent climb, decent acceleration, decent top speed. It is a very well-balanced plane for 8.0. The only thing that feels a bit underwhelming about this plane is its firepower, as it gets 4 French Hispanos, which would be a good for prop tier, but sometimes you can have trouble killing jets that have tankier damage models. Plus, the fact that you only get 125 rounds per gun means that you have to be pretty conservative with your shots if you want to stay relevant in the fight for a long time. Also, the games at this BR seem to be pretty one-sided. I very rarely got a loss in this thing, so for your average match, you really don't have time to RTB and rearm. So most games that I played were 3-kill matches with not that many dogfights. And if you end up being too picky with your shots, then you might not get any kills at all. So, how does this plane fly? I feel like planes at this BR generally fall into 3 main archetypes. First are the planes with very strong climb and vertical retention that climb to high altitudes and engage in dogfights, like the MiG-15s. Second are the slow but turny planes that can stick dogfights and win 2v1s if they know what they're doing, like the Vampires or Meteors. And lastly, there's everybody else. If you don't have an exceptional climb or turn, then this BR range is generally just a boom and zoom fest with very few interesting dogfights. If you do try to dogfight, you lose your speed, and if you lose your speed, you become easy prey for the enemies who come in to third-party you. And because this plane isn't exceptionally climby or turny, you want to play this plane as if it were a Sabre. Stay out of the fight until you can see an opportunity for you to engage a slow enemy, whether they're a base bomber or someone in a dogfight, then push in for the kill. Keep your speed up, ideally above 650 kph so you don't make yourself an easy target, and it can accelerate out if you need to. If you're in a bad spot with an enemy chasing you, you do have a decent turn and roll, so you can try and force an overshoot, but you're going to bleed a lot of speed, which can be risky, so ideally you're close to your teammates that can harass the enemy off of your 6. If you do get in a 1v1, you want to play to your enemy's weaknesses, since this plane doesn't really have any standout strengths. Against MiGs, you want to keep the fight fast to make them compress, though there is a good chance they'll just keep looping vertically to abuse their energy retention, so that's a pretty tough matchup. For Sabres, it depends on what kind of Sabre they're in, but against an A5 or an F30 at your BR, you can go for straight turn fights since you outturn or outrate them. At the start of the match, I don't usually bother climbing since it's usually people who want to dogfight at altitude that climb, and this plane doesn't really compete well against MiG-15s. Plus, most of the base bombers are down low, so you can try to get easy early game kills while you wait for the furball to develop. Then it's just a matter of boom and zooming slow targets and baiting you for your teammates if you need to go on the defensive. This match was a down tier though, so I felt more comfortable climbing since I would know that I would pretty comfortably outspeed most of the enemies around here. I didn't get that many down tiers, but generally speaking, the way that you play them doesn't change that much. You can just afford to be a bit more aggressive since you know that a lot of the enemies won't perform as well as you. Here I'm trying to decide which set of enemies to go for. I think I'll go for that F80 because he seems like he's low and slow. Ideally, I want to spend ammo on enemies that are low and slow so that I don't have to waste too much of it. It looks like this F89 might present a good deflection shot though. He's pitched under me, which is going to make the shot pretty hard actually. And you can see here that the plane does compress, but it doesn't compress nearly as much as the Ouragan or the Baragan. It can be pretty risky to do boom and zoom attacks in those planes since it can usually end up with you ramming into the ground. I know that the F-89 climbs well, but I also know that he rips his wings in a straight line if he goes too fast, so I'm going to see if I can catch him here. He seems like he's trying to disengage hard, so he might be trying to RTB, so I want to get him before he can do that. He's going up, so I'm hoping he turns a bit so that I can get a better shot on him. That was poor aim on my part, but I should be able to loop over here and get another shot on him. I'm not sure if he was damaged. He seemed like he didn't want to dogfight at all, so maybe I was putting down somebody who was already hurt. I'm thinking I'd like to engage some of these guys in the furball over here that might be going slow. But they're quite a distance out, and I noticed that there's an F9F behind me, so I might try and dogfight him instead. He's coming in pretty fast with an altitude advantage, so it should be pretty easy to deny him a shot here. The problem, of course, is trying to catch him after he does make that shot. He's taking a very passive approach angle, so I'm going to try and pull up into him and see if I can get a shot. That would have been a really cool keyboard shot if I hit that, but unfortunately I don't. And he uses the rest of his energy to just zoom away. I'm just going to keep tracking him though. He's going to want to come down eventually. There's also an F3D that's been spotted. He might also be a good target to go after. I'm going to switch targets to him because it looks like he's going to be a very easy target as he stalls up. Just so long as I can catch him and the F9 doesn't come and kill me. Nice, I was able to get him with just a few rounds. Hopefully he doesn't put the fire out in RTB. This F9F is still running to Narnia. It looks like he's missing a wingtip, but he's managed to turn around and fly pretty stably up to this altitude, so I'm going to make sure that he doesn't manage to RTB. Sometimes the Hispanos don't do as much damage as you'd like them to do, but I did crit him in the end. That should at least give me an assist. I'm out of ammo, so I'm going to RTB and see if I can track down the last few enemies. I've rearmed and I've tracked the last enemy down to his airfield. He's just taken off, so I should be able to come into this fight with a massive energy advantage. I'll spray in the head on because I have a lot of ammo and I'm only going to be using it on him. Yeah, there's no way he's going to be following me up into this turn. So when I loop over, I should have a pretty free shot on him, as long as he doesn't run back to his airfield. And that's game. Downtiers are pretty comfortable as long as you don't get hard focused by something like a MiG-15 or a BIS-ish. This match is a full up tier. The match has just started. I'm flying towards the battlefield when this Saab decides to rush me down, so I'm going to see if I can turn and bleed his energy. I'm pretty sure he won't be able to sustain this turn, so I'm going to keep turning with him and see if I can either get on his 6 or he disengages. You can see that this plane's retention is actually quite good. It's just that compared to something like a MiG-15, you get outclassed very quickly. Looks like he's disengaged, but there's a G91 coming in. I'm not too scared of G91R1s because I know that they only have 450 cals, so they don't really do that much damage. He nicks my wing a little bit, which does give me a fuel leak, but that shouldn't be too big of a problem once it seals. But he's back on my 6, and I know I won't win a turn fight against him, so I'm going to try and bait him for my teammates. It looks like they're here already, so I should be fine. As long as I can keep him on my 6 for just a bit longer. I have plenty of speed to work with right now. I'm going 700, so I should be able to maneuver if any bad situation arises as well. Yep, he's pulled off, and because we have a teammate number advantage, he should automatically lose this fight. As long as we don't do anything stupid. Unfortunately, it looks like I did something really stupid, but I did get the G91. That was not intentional at all. Once I committed, I didn't have a choice but to take that head on though, so I don't think that was on me. Just really bad luck on his end. The same Saab is back to try and harass me, but I don't think he's going to be doing very much, especially since I've got a teammate still here with me. If I had more ammo, I'd try to spray at him from this range, but I don't feel comfortable doing that with only 400 rounds left. I'm gonna try and get as close as possible to make the shot as easy as I can. But I guess I waited too long and the friendly came and killed him. I would have liked that kill, but it's not the worst thing that could have happened. MiG-15 dive bombs out of nowhere and kills himself. Very cool. And once again, it's just a matter of tracking down the last enemies and killing them. If the teams were more evenly matched, then I would imagine that the games would go on longer and you would get more late-game 1v1 dogfights, which would be nice, but this is the state that the game is currently in, so we're just going to have to play it. We have a massive numerical advantage right now, so this Swift isn't really going to be able to do that much against us, so I guess that's why he decided to run away. Hopefully the Sabres that are with me will be able to make him turn eventually. Looks like he's going for a turn around the pillar to see if he can get a head-on with us. I don't think he'll be able to turn in time, though. Yeah, he's pretty screwed here. I should get a pretty easy shot on him here. And that's his wing gone. There's an A28 coming in. I don't want to get stuck in a dogfight with him, but he seems pretty slow, so I should be able to take a head-on real quick here. He must have seen a lot of people pitching up for him and wasn't able to react in time. So I got a pretty free kill there. And then we spend about 3 minutes looking for the last guy, and it turns out it's a Yak-28. If he was going supersonic at high altitudes, he would be impossible to catch, but I don't know what he's doing down here. Either way, I'll take it. It is pretty crazy that this plane can see supersonic bombers like the Yak-28 or the Su-7, but surprisingly I haven't had too many issues dealing with them, mostly because it seems like the 9.0s on my team seem to deal with them pretty easily. So that's been quite nice. This is another full up tier. I've went off to the left and stayed pretty low so that I can see if I can kill any base bombers. I didn't run into any, but there is this MiG-15 chasing after our base bombers, so I might be able to get him while he's distracted. I do have to be careful though, there might be enemies that I haven't spotted that dive down on me while I'm distracted as well, so I'd like to make this as quick as possible. And I'm not going to get too committed. I'm going to constantly check above me to see if anybody's diving on me. Looks like the Canberra is doing a pretty good job of trying to get him to slow down. This should make it easier for me to catch him and take a shot at him. Only hits. I was hoping I would have had a better shot there, but I might have waited a little too long for the shot. I might have also overcommitted. There's a lot of enemies around me right now, checking the compass. But this friendly LA-200 is going to give me a chance to breathe a bit by distracting the enemies. Let's see if I can finish off the MiG-15 here. Only a crit, but hopefully if he goes into the ground, that should be a kill. And here comes some F9Fs. I should be able to win a straight dogfight with them, but there are quite a few of them around, so I'm going to extend out and see if I can reapproach the situation from a more comfortable angle. I don't want to get completely absorbed in the fight and lose focus of what's behind me and what's around me. It looks like the LA-200 is also extending in the opposite direction, so the enemies are going to be split up. So I'm going to turn back and see if I can re-engage them. I was expecting him to go full head-on there, but if he's going to give me a free kill, I won't say no. There's an A28 behind me. I definitely won't win a dogfight against him, so I'm going to run away from him as quickly as I can. He does seem to be catching up to me right now, so it's lucky that I found him right now and that I can accelerate away. MiG-15 coming in for a head-on. No sauce. Another F9F that I'm able to get a shot on. LA-200 is doing an excellent job of baiting him up, and I bag another free kill. I'd like to stay in this fight longer, but I only have 40 rounds left and I don't think I'll be able to do anything with those. So I'm going to see if I can RTB. It looks like our friendlies have the situation handled now, so I don't feel too bad disengaging right now. If we were at a disadvantage, I would try and stay around in the fight and play as bait for the teammates so that they can get more kills. But here I think it's best I RTB so that I can get more ammo. So I've rearmed and I'm back up. The last 3 enemies on their team are an F-84G, an F-84F, and a MiG-15. Hopefully they come out one by one, and if they do, then I'm only really concerned about the MiG-15 since he'll be able to energy trap me pretty easily. The other 2, as long as they don't just keep running away from me, then I should be able to kill them pretty easily. I spot the F-84G, so he should be a pretty easy kill here. He's going pretty slow, and he's turning now, so I should be able to get a shot. I'm not sure if he was waiting or if he just noticed me here, but unless he completely tries to disengage by running, then he shouldn't be able to do anything. That's another kill. Time to look for the next enemies. I briefly spot the F-84F in the distance, so I'm going to go after him right now. It's pretty likely that he's carrying bombs, so he should be an even easier kill than a normal F-84 would be. No hits in the head-on, but no need to sweat it, because I should be able to win the dogfight here pretty quickly. I take a bit of a bad angle here because he's able to decelerate very quickly, so I need to try and slow down to get behind him. That plane has a very poor energy retention, and I guess he's using it to his advantage. And my pilot is still asleep because I'm on basic crew, so that was some pretty poor timing. But even still, as long as I keep the scissors sort of in the vertical, he shouldn't be able to keep up with me. In most situations, I don't use my flaps, even if they are good, because they do make your retention worse, and most times you want to keep your speed up. But here I do use them because I want to stay behind him. And this was a pretty disappointing moment for me with the Hispanos. Like, they do good damage, but more often than not they give you a crit instead of a severe, and this guy just stole the kill using an AIM-9B, which is rather unfortunate. Hopefully I can take out this MiG-15 though. If he climbs or does vertical loops, then there's no real way for me to catch him. But right now I do have some energy to work with, so I might be able to get a shot in before his energy advantage gets too big. It looks like he's going up again, so I'm going to dive a little bit to cash some speed in preparation for me to full send a stall shot. Wasn't quite able to pull in. It looks like he's going down though, so I'm going to pitch down to see if I can get another shot at him. He's still out of range and extending. I was expecting him to go back up, but he's coming back down again, which is going to give me another shot. And that's game. He must have seen all the friendlies coming and decided to cash in for speed. Either way, I'll take the ace. It feels like it should have been a 6 kill, but 5 is still good. If the games at this BR weren't so one-sided, then I would like this plane a lot more since you would probably get more dogfights, but even still, this plane is quite fun to fly. Would recommend you try it out on your way up through the French tech tree. Anyways, that's all for now. Bye bye.